Hey there, folks. Just wanted to pop in at the top of the episode and say this is going to sound a little different than other episodes because I wasn't really talking a whole lot. I was having a bad reaction to some medicine that I took. About halfway through the episode, my head felt like it started to split open, and I was desperately trying not to throw up. But like I say at the end of the episode, we got all my points out, and if I didn't say something I wanted to say, Jeff said it for me. Basically, we had a lot of the same opinions on this episode, but that's why it's a bit of a shorter episode, and that is why it is coming out late, which I apologize for. I could have done the episode easily without the medicine. I just didn't want to feel or sound stuffy on recording, so I took a decongestant that I don't usually take. I've only taken once or twice before, and I felt absolutely miserable as we were recording this episode, as I'm sure you can probably hear. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for listening to the episode, and let's get into it.
Welcome back, everyone, once again to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron.
Dude, we got to get our schedule figured out. I swear to God, I can't tell what weeks we're supposed to have recordings.
I
feel like
all kinds of messed up.
It always feels to me like it's either been 5 minutes since we recorded or 5 weeks. So I can't tell. I don't understand. We've been doing this for years. Why is it so hard to get to do a concrete schedule?
I have no idea.
My brain just refuses to get into a groove with this shit. Oh my goodness. How's it been going, man?
Just fighting off whatever this fucking virus is.
You guys are sick again.
Yep.
I swear to God. Can't take y'all anywhere.
Nathan brought home some kind of respiratory thing. It hit Haley first, and then it hit Christina, and then it hit me.
Jesus, dude.
So I had popped some Sudafed and came upstairs to record.
How do y'all not have fucking antibodies to everything
I don't know.
known to man?
I don't know. It's the worst.
That fucking sucks, but it's like I think we talked about last time. It kind of like has to be expected when the kids are going back to the germ factories.
Yeah, it's only been like 3 or 4 weeks now, so hopefully it'll slow down.
Yeah, that sucks though. I got to go get my flu shot and shit here in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure when I'm due on stuff.
Yeah.
With my track record so far, I should probably look into that.
I mean, at this point, you're probably like a good candidate for like the super soldier serum. You've had everything else. Is like, why not?
Oh, man.
So we are going to be talking about a supernatural horror movie thriller, whatever the fuck genre this movie falls into.
Right.
But first, we're going to be talking about
psychological horror instead of psychological horror. Psychological horror.
I have no idea. But before we do that, did we have any comments or questions for the podcast?
I didn't find any questions on the YouTubes, though. We do have a comment from the Bobby,
the goat.
No, that doesn't work. The Gobe, greatest of all Bobbies.
I'll allow it.
I'll have to workshop it.
Isn't he the greatest of all interns though? Isn't that like a more appropriate title?
Yeah, I don't know how that works out either. I don't know how to pronounce that one either. He left a comment on Pandorum, said, "Okay, movie, go watch sometime."
That's pretty accurate to Pandorum. Oh man,
playing off of our good movie, good go watch.
Good movie, good go watch.
Okay, movie, go watch. We had another held for review.
These are I'm fucking, the Patrick Star meme where he's rubbing his hands together. I'm ready out. This is my favorite time of the show. It's getting these because I never read these in advance, and Ron just drops them on the show, and it's my favorite part.
I can't tell if they're complimenting us or telling us to go fuck ourselves?
Why not both?
Right?
But probably most likely the latter, if
Right.
we're being honest.
It was left on Kung Fu Hustle, episode 97. I don't even know how to say the name. They commented, "Huge penis, you." That's it.
Interesting.
End of comment. I don't know.
Maybe they were just like, man, y'all dropped this 2-hour upload titled Kung Fu Hustle, and it's not the movie. Y'all got some fucking big dick energy to go and do that and get 37,000 views of people thinking it's the movie.
It feels like that moment in The Martian when he's like, do you think he means it like, are you fucking kidding me? Or are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I can't tell if he's saying we got some big dick energy or he hopes we fall on a big dick. I can't tell which one.
Big penis you, karma dot dot.
Yeah. Yeah, huge penis you. They capitalized the H.
There you go.
But there's no punctuation or anything. Just huge penis you. End of comment.
I am most disturbed by the fact that saying penis in the YouTube comment can get it flagged for review, but I have seen some dark and disturbing shit typed out, and that's the part that doesn't get flagged for review on YouTube. Like, do we have any kind of correct moderation going with these like words, like word algorithm things?
Yeah, that asshole that left that suicide comment, that one was not flagged. That one was not held for review, if I recall correctly.
Well, it was just part for the course on YouTube comments. They're just like, yeah, we just accept that at this point. But you type out the word penis, and we're gonna shut that shit immediately down.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude. Fucking YouTube.
But that was all I had. That's all I brought to the party. That and this is our 107th episode.
That's crazy.
And I always forget what year we started. We might be coming up on our 4th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Jeff.
I think we started in 2020, so yeah, it'd be 4 years next month, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, what'd you get me?
Nothing.
Oh, that's about right.
Oh man, what'd you get me, fucker?
No.
If we're celebrating.
No, I don't. I only get you stuff on your birthday, not on anniversaries.
Man, I gotta get an attorney, get this shit taken care of. What did we get in the without a prenuptial in the Screenplay Rewind divorce saga?
Oh man, I think we have to split the YouTube.
No, okay. So one of us gets Bobby on the weekends, and one of us gets Bobby during the week.
I thought it would just be every other.
Oh man, we'll let Bobby decide.
Well, yeah, we'll put him between us, and we'll stand however far apart. Just like, come here, Bobby. Come here, Bobby.
Who's a good Bobby?
Who's a good Bobby? Come on, Bobby.
Oh man, immediately not traumatizing Bobby at all.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Who's a good intern? Come here. Oh man. All right. Well, if you have any comments that you would like held for review on YouTube, you can always drop those in the YouTube comments or email us at screenplayrewind@gmail.com, and we'll read anything. As you can see from the past couple of episodes,
right?
We'll read anything because it's fun. And if you're an asshole, I'm gonna be an asshole back to you. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah. Man. All right. It was a very, very quick Q&A section. Usually we have like a 45-minute lead up to the actual movie review, so now I'm thrown off. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about Oddity, maybe like other than Deadpool and Wolverine, like the quickest turnaround, because I think this just hit streaming services like a few weeks ago. I just randomly heard about it on Collider or Deadline, some site like that, talking about like recently released horror movies that they recommended. So yeah, spoilers for Oddity, which I think is just like the second or third movie from this director.
Second, I believe.
Brand new for me. I watched about 30 seconds of the teaser trailer for this. It seemed kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just pick it, because I think it'd been a minute since we'd watched something that was completely fresh outside of Deadpool, and you know what you're in 4 with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
I kind of wanted to be surprised. So what were your initial impressions on Oddity?
There's a couple of times I was just like, oh god damn it, Jeff. But yeah, no, I like this movie. It is not what I expected going into it.
Right. I think it's okay. I ended up I don't
think
love
it does a lot with a little.
It does. To me, the joy of this movie is figuring out along the way what it falls on as far as like supernatural versus just being a thriller, because that was pretty cool. Because at first, I would say for the first like hour of this movie, it's just a thriller. Like
I agree.
it's really not supernatural at all. Like they go to the sister's shop, like the shop with all the like haunted objects and stuff. Yeah, the little shop of horrors. Darcy, is that her name?
Yes.
Ron's gonna be able to pull names quicker than me because I watched this a few days ago and Ron just watched it last night, I believe. So forgive me if I get some of the details wrong, because I've slept like 3 times since then, so I've already forgotten 90% of the movie. So bear with me. But yeah, that was my favorite part, was trying to figure out like at what point is this going to turn into a supernatural thing, or is this just going to be a thriller that was kind of like masquerading as one? I don't know if you kind of had the same reaction to it.
It plays an interesting trick because the first thing that you see in the movie, you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know if it's a real person or like a ghost or what. So that was interesting. But yeah, the probably masterclass in conversations through a door.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
I like the brilliant use of a Scooby-Doo trapdoor.
Oh my
that was
god,
pretty cool. That was pretty cool. We'll get to that.
That's pretty good, and I don't know. This movie's just really good at building tension and holding it there.
To me, the best part of the movie, as far as how it's executed, is actually the kind of introduction, as far as following. Is it Danny? Is that the sister who was killed?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about the cast in a bit, but it's the same actress, Carolyn Bracken, playing twin sisters in the movie. The first one being Danny. The whole introductory scene where it is okay, first of all, they live in the most haunted building I've ever seen in my entire life. Like they are on the outskirts of like a Demon Souls level. Like, what the fuck is that area? And then what is this building? It's got like a middle courtyard, and it's got a fucking trap door, so it literally is like a fucking Bloodborne dungeon, dude. Like, what are we looking at?
It
with
looks
this house?
to me like an old mission or like an old monastery.
Like, even before the first person in the movie dies in this house, this shit is haunted as fuck. Like, it is one of the most haunted buildings I've ever seen. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a cool idea for a house, though.
You wouldn't catch me. I mean, you probably, if I was there, you would catch me dead at this house.
Catch you dead.
Because holy the fuck, that place is so haunted. My god. I would not, even if I got the deal of a lifetime and got all the like surrounding property, I would just sell the property. I would not build a house or like recommission it into a house. Like, fuck a lot of that. We should quickly say this movie was shot in Ireland and is pretty much entirely composed of a I think fully Irish cast and crew. And I think that's one of the things that makes it kind of cool, is because with it being so like homegrown in Ireland, this movie doesn't have the same kind of like vibe and tropes that most American horror movies have. Because like one thing that's cool about this that I found as I was watching it is, I feel like when you're watching American horror movies, they are on the like Hereditary side, where it is like balls to the wall. This thing is trying to be like the scariest thing you've ever seen, and it's very intense. And on the opposite side, you have kind of like the Cabin in the Woods thing, where it's like it has more of like a light sense of humor to it. But this has like moments that are like actually there's a couple moments that are like genuinely pretty funny. This has it has this kind of weird tone to it. It's where at times it's really fucking dark, and it reaches for those kind of like Hereditary levels of being fucked up, but at other times it's like it's almost like silly. I don't know if you kind of caught that.
I don't think I laughed.
Oh, the scene that I thought was funny was at one point after she drops off the mannequin thing, and she's just like, "Don't you love it?" It's clearly the most like haunted object you've ever seen, but they're playing off of the fact that she's blind, and that's partially how she's able to like start up her whole revenge plan thing, is because she dropped off her fucking murder mannequin made out of wood.
The wooden man.
That looks like it's a fucking cursed object. And she's like, "Don't you love it? It's amazing." But they're just like, we can't be rude to her because she can't fucking see what she just gave us as a gift. And at one point, they do like a hard cut when they're all sitting around the dinner table, and it just hard cuts to the wooden man sitting on the other end. And there's like a funny moment where there's like a hard cut to the fucking cursed object sitting at the dinner table for no fucking reason. Oh my god.
Oh man.
And I don't know. The final shot to me that we'll get to is pretty funny to me, just because it's.
That was pretty great. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's pretty good.
I love the final scene.
The final scene is probably the best scene in the movie.
It's fucking genius.
Yes.
And I should have seen it coming a million miles away, but I just got sidetracked on it.
Well, especially the way they build it up.
Yeah, what ends up being a Chekhov's gun is very cleverly hidden. Yeah, it's very cleverly hidden super early on in the movie, and there's multiple red herrings and shit going on around it to where you will forget about it, and then when it comes back around, it's just a super cool scene. Let's jump to the cast and crew though. So this is written and directed by Damian McCarthy. The only other movie that has I think been directed by him is a movie called Caveat, which I'm actually curious to go back and check out now, because while it doesn't have the kind of buzz surrounding it that Oddity does, I have seen some people on like Reddit and stuff like go to bat for it, so I'd be curious to check it out. And I think this guy does have some really, really good chops as far as, like you said earlier, like ratcheting up the tension. And this movie has a couple of that one of the things that bummed me out about this is I was actually hoping for this movie to be a little bit more scary than it was because of the buzz surrounding it, and it has a couple of scenes that are pretty good scares. And I like the overall kind of vibe of it, but I was personally like hoping it would be more like the Hereditary realm of just trying to scare the ever living shit out of me, like that movie did, and it didn't quite hit that, but it has a couple really good scares. But
yeah, I found this movie pretty scary. Actually,
I think that's just gonna be like one of those things where I've watched more of these. I think I have the kind of like antibodies for horror that you quite don't yet. But once I have a few hundred more horror movies on the show, then you'll have the immunity to it.
Yeah, I thought that for how simple this movie is, that it is done technically very, very well. The way it is shot, the use of lighting and shadow. I'm trying to remember. I was about to say the use of music. Was there much music?
So what I noticed is with the score, a lot of the time it's just ambient background as far as like hearing the wind outside. I don't think there is very much in the way of music at all.
Yeah.
Because I think
I don't really remember any music. I almost said in the use of music, and then I stopped and was like, wait, hang on. I can't think of a single instance of hearing music.
Yeah, I'm sure it has a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I think he's just trying to like kind of fixate on the isolation of it, especially in the opening scene.
And
like,
this movie feels very isolated.
Yeah, the opening scene especially is expertly done. I'm curious, and we'll be checking out here pretty soon since we're coming up on spooky season. I'll be actually going back into his catalog and watching Caveat, and if it's one that I think would be good for the show, I'll throw it on here eventually.
Yeah, they apparently, so in the YouTube comments for the movie trailer for Oddity, people were going nuts over Caveat, and I guess the little bunny that slaps symbols together in the Oddity shop is from Caveat.
Oh yeah, I saw somebody talking about that on a thread somewhere, but I forgot about it. Yeah.
And I saw someone say in the official trailer at 1:41, Oddity part of the MCU confirmed. I do not understand that comment. I cannot find anything that
Yeah, I have
even
no idea.
remotely nothing. There's nothing even round in the background that you could mistake for a shield. Like I cannot figure out for the life of me what that comment was saying.
Yeah, I literally no idea. We had mentioned Carolyn Bracken, who plays the lead on this. She's playing I guess we should kind of just really quick, since this isn't a movie that very many people have watched. Again, spoilers for everything that's going to go on. Even though I am not as high on this as it kind of seems like the horror movie scene is. I think I still think it's worth checking out. But the basic kind of plot line is this movie opens up with a woman who is at, as we already discussed, the Bloodborne dungeon house that they have. They are like, I guess, renovating into a fully furnished house because she is living in this kind of like makeshift little like tent area on like the ground floor of this. I don't even know what the fuck you would call it. Because what did you say? It was kind of like a mission,
Like a mission or like a monastery or something.
Yeah, it's like a small monastery.
It's even got like a little
almost.
bell tower area, which I believe is where the trapdoor area is located in. That's where you'd climb up to go ring the bell.
Yeah. So her husband is a doctor that works at an insane asylum. What would you say? Like, kind of maybe like a town over, like driving distance, but not super close because there's.
I think in the town. I think they are way outside of the town.
Yeah. So she is because he works nights. She is at the dungeon by herself.
The Chalice dungeon.
Yeah, at the Chalice dungeon. She goes out to her car, leaving the front door open. When she goes back to her house and closes the door behind her, she gets a knock at the door. Then there is a gentleman who is.
Well, there's a knock, and then when she doesn't do anything, the door handle jiggles.
Oh, okay, yeah. You'll have to bear with me on the details because it has been a few days. So there's this little kind of like sliding like peephole thing. So she opens it and is talking with this stranger through the door. He has a very striking image because he has a kind of like almost like a makeshift glass eye, it seems like. And he is telling
like
her
a doll's eyes.
He's telling her that he saw somebody as she was outside walk into the door behind her. And she's like, what the fuck? Why are you here? This is private property, and is immediately suspicious because why wouldn't you be?
Right.
Like he eventually talks to her. It's like, okay, I understand this is, like a suspicious thing that I'm doing, but if you have to, like at one point she's, talking about how my husband's gonna be home soon. He's like, that's not correct. What's the last name of them? He says like doctor or whatever.
Timmons?
Like he works nights.
Timmons.
Yeah, Doctor. He says Dr. Timmons works nights. So she immediately thinks that this is like a patient that has escaped. And
in reality, it's a patient that's been released.
Yeah.
So she's half right.
And then she is she's obviously panicking because she thinks this guy's trying to kill her. And eventually she is wanting to like pretty much say like, I'm gonna call the cops. And then one thing that gives her pause is that the stranger says okay, do that. I will go get help myself. He seems genuinely concerned, but she's in the right to not open the door because why would you?
Well, he also looks like the crazy hitchhiker guy that gets picked up in the Tiny Toons movie that goes crazy anytime anyone mentions ham, and he starts pulling out a chainsaw to kill the pig family.
Yeah. It's a very striking image. That this is the scene that like they open up the teaser trailer with, is him talking to her through the door, which is a pretty cool opening for the teaser. So eventually, he is like saying, like there was someone in here with you. You have to get out. Call the cops. Like I will try to get help. Eventually, he leaves, and they do like a hard cut to where it looks like she's about to open the door to let him in. and then they do a hard cut to where it's like a year has passed. I believe a year has passed. It is revealed that this woman has been killed brutally in this house, and the what is the next scene that transition to? Is it the doctor going to talk to the sister? Is that this next scene?
Yes.
Or do they then go to the stranger being killed? I forget. That might be the next
I think
sequence.
that happens later.
Is that after he goes to talk to Darcy?
I believe so.
Yeah. So the next couple of scenes that happen, I forget exactly which order, is that they show the doctor, who was the husband, going to talk to Darcy and her. So she's like a psychic that can read objects. She is in it's like a, what is it, Odello's Oddities, I think is like the name of her shop.
Yeah.
He obviously, since he's a doctor, he's very skeptical of everything. She starts talking to him, and one of my favorite things that the movie does is you can immediately tell something's up with the husband because of how nonchalant he is about everything having to do with his wife being murdered in their fucking home a year earlier. Like, he is just so casual about everything. Like, when he's talking to Darcy about everything, like, the movie expects you to figure out that the husband's in on it, and they don't try to hide it. Like, there is a little bit of like a red herring with the orderly later, but you could pretty quickly find out that, like, yeah, the husband's in on it to some extent. You just don't know the exact details. But I actually like that. And there's even comments that you can find from the writer and director McCarthy, where he's talking about how, as he was writing the script, it didn't feel right to shift it away from being the husband, because everyone's going to expect it, kind of just like go with the flow with it. You know, don't try to outsmart the audience, because everyone's going to immediately, know that it's just the asshole husband.
So I didn't put that together.
Oh, with that he was in on it?
Yeah. I started to suspect as it went along, and I eventually figured it out before the movie revealed it. But I didn't know if it was just because, like, I'm not familiar with this actor, or if it's just his acting style, or like what. But I didn't put together that was intentional.
Interesting. He is so nonchalant about everything that I figured almost immediately he was in on it, because he acts like he could not give less of a shit. But yeah, I can definitely see like where you're coming from as far as, not being familiar with like the actor and everything. But so they then have a sequence where it is showing the stranger, the guy with the glass eye, who is it like a halfway house? Is that where he's killed? I forget where exactly it is. Yeah. So he is at this like halfway house.
It's worth mentioning that he has a history where he beat his mother to death.
Correct. And then they elaborate later on that, and like,
yeah, which sounds bad, dude, but it sounds like she had it coming.
This dude is like such a tragic fucking character.
Oh man,
it's rough once you figure out everything that's going on. But he is attacked by something that you see that you don't. It sounds find like out later.
A goddamn outer god.
It does.
From Lovecraft just walking around.
Yeah. So there is another guy who's in the half house and kind of hears it happen. He is brutally killed to where his head is pretty much exploded. Like, the guy walks into his room and his head is just in a million pieces on the floor. It's fucking brutal what happens to that poor man.
Yeah. And he reaches down and picks up the glass eye.
So the kind of gist of the movie is it's been a year since the sister was killed, and Darcy, who ends up being our protagonist, is pretty much inviting herself into the Bloodborne dungeon because she was able to, because she's there's a fucking term for it where they can specifically like read the like the physical objects. I'll pull up the psychometric powers. That's what it is. So she's a clairvoyant with psychometric powers. She eventually, because she wants to learn more about the stranger, she touches the glass eye and is able to figure out, because she's a psychic, that he didn't do it. So she immediately is able to start like putting things together as far as what's going on. And then the supernatural parts of the movie are her like conducting revenge on these people, which is such a cool thing, because like all the supernatural shit that happens is against the bad guys. Right. That's pretty cool. Like, when the supernatural shit is happening, you're like rooting for it because it's used as a weapon against the bad guys. And that's the part of the movie that I think that gets this movie the most kind of like positive buzz, is that's a really cool kind of unique angle to this.
Yeah, once that reveal kind of unfolds, or you start to suspect, it defangs the terror a little bit because you've switched from "Oh God, what's going to happen to them?" to "Oh yes, please."
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty cool the way that it plays with that.
And there's a cool way that it transitions because there's like a halfway point to where the beginning part of the supernatural segments happen because of when Darcy goes over and invites herself into the house. One clue to kind of clue you in that the doctor is in on it is he's already found a new girlfriend, and they immediately start elaborating on the fact that he knew her in advance, so there was
Right.
an affair happening. But how they have kind of like a pivot point to where the supernatural starts happening, like the supernatural stuff starts happening, it is to one of the kind of assholes in the movie with this new girlfriend who is obnoxious as fuck, but not evil like the orderly and the husband, you know. She's an
Um,
asshole and was having an affair, but she didn't arrange to have somebody killed,
yeah,
you
I
know.
was gonna say I don't know how much I agree with that because I think, is reacting about the way I would to someone just inviting themselves over to my house, which also happens to be the house that my boyfriend's wife died in, and I don't want to
I,
be
I'm
here to
I'm
begin with.
I'm alluding to her being an asshole because of the affair, not because
Okay.
of being annoyed at Darcy. Because Darcy does fucking invite herself into their home, but it's really funny the way she does it. She's like, "Yeah, I'm here. I got my giant trunk with a mannequin man. So how's everybody doing?"
The mannequin.
But the husband goes to the hospital to work overnight, leaving Darcy with the new girlfriend. And the supernatural shit is Darcy like actually trying to, in a way, save her because she is trying to freak out the girlfriend to get her to leave
Right.
because she is there to take out the husband or the ex-husband and the orderly. She isn't there. Like, she realizes that now I think if she had found out that the new girlfriend was in on it, she obviously would have sicked the wooden man on her, but she does not. She's just there for revenge on the ex-husband and the orderly.
Um, who did you say is trying to get rid of Yana?
I think Darcy is because I think Darcy knows
Really
she yeah, I think Darcy is doing these scares to get rid of her.
interesting. That wasn't my read at all.
What was your read on it?
My read was that she was there assuming that Yana was in on it, was going to kill her too, and that Danny knows that she wasn't and scared her off. Because Darcy has a line later where she said that she was basically going to go after Yana, but Danny scared her off.
Interesting. Because I thought
When the
uh
husband confronts Darcy at the end of the movie, when she has the wedding band and she has seen the affair, um, she mentions that she wanted Yana, but Danny scared her off.
interesting. Because I thought she was trying to scare her away because specifically of because of the scene where it's a really cool scene where she what's the girlfriend's name?
Yana?
She is leaning over the banister of the second floor and looks down into the kitchen and sees the mannequin staring back up at her, which is a really cool scene.
And Darcy is
That
supposed to be asleep, and I thought that was something messing with her connection, or that she was seeing through the mannequin.
yeah, I admit like if you're saying they say later, I can't remember, but I believe you.
I'm
I
not
read it
seeing
as when
any. Believe it or not, I'm not finding a single quote on the IMDb page for this movie.
interesting.
Um,
Um, yeah, I could be mistaken. I initially read that she was just trying to get her out of it, but it makes sense because I think she was saying about how she was having supernatural run-ins with Danny previously, but I can't remember. But regardless, she it gets spooked and leaves because of these kind of like supernatural events that are happening around her. What did you think of the scare they have to where she is watching the like recorded footage?
that's pretty
And they
good.
that was to me like the best jump scare of the movie because she is looking at this
And it's immediately
recorded
followed by another one.
right. She's looking at this recorded footage on a camera and they play out a scene to where it is the wife that had died talking with the husband, and then they repeat the footage back, but then as it cuts back to where they were cutting from the right side of like inside the camera footage over back to the husband, it's the ghost, which is pretty cool. Some couple like 2 or 3 like really solid jump scares in this. Yeah, so what did you think of the dudes at the asylum? Because they keep showing the behind the back shot of the guy that was giving me like such Bloodborne vibes. Yeah. I don't know if you got the same thing, but yeah, they show like this one patient that is, they never show his face until like towards the end of the movie, but they keep showing a shot behind him as he's kind of like grinding his teeth and is ratcheting this kind of like muzzle thing he has on his head. Is like such a great image and sound
like
effect
just wiggling his jaw.
Yeah, it's so good. Like if they ever do Bloodborne stuff, as far as like a TV show or a movie or anything, like this guy needs to be a consultant, because I was getting a lot of Bloodborne vibes in this movie.
So what's funny is watching this, I was trying to decide between Carolyn Bracken or, oh god, they're both Carolyn Bracken or Carolyn Minton. What would you think of one of them as Lady Maria?
Oh, I can see that. That'd be pretty cool. I was especially impressed by Carolyn Bracken. I think she does a great job when she's playing Darcy, as far as just seeming like really detached, but also I think she's very likable at the same time.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I realized I still had time left on my rental, so I went back and turned on subtitles on my phone.
Oh, okay.
He asks, "Where's Yana?" She's not answering her phone. And then Darcy says, Danny scared her off. She was always the more level-headed one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she might... I still don't get the impression that Darcy would have killed her. She obviously didn't like her, but she had ample opportunity to kill her. You know what I mean? So because she's there at the house with Yana like an entire night, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I don't think she would have. I don't think she would have killed her. I think she just obviously, you know, what is that like line she has? Like she's having a conversation with Yana at the dinner table, and Yana's like, "Do you think I look stupid?" And she's like, "I have no idea what you look like, but you sound stupid." You know, like that great line. Obviously, she doesn't like her, but I never got the impression she would have killed her, because yeah, she was having an affair, but she wasn't in on the murder. I think that was the kind of breaking point, personally. But some of this is up to interpretation, specifically a scene I want to talk about later, that I think is very interesting as far as what part of it you think is intentional on the part of Darcy or not. But
yeah, the whole Danny scared her off made me feel like Darcy's not the one that did it.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that line, so I think you're right. I think
because the first time
Danny had scared her off.
The first time she sees Danny on her way to bed, standing at the end of the corridor, she kind of whispers "run," and when she sees her in the bedroom, she's screaming "run." Yeah.
There's
clearly supernatural stuff going on too. So my immediate jump was Danny is trying to get rid of the new girl, and it turns out I was kind of right.
So you know? I had they kind of confirm it with what is said. My initial read on it, because I'd forgotten about that line, was that because Darcy can control the wooden man, she was actually in control of the ghosts. Like that was kind of like her putting out a kind of fake like poltergeist almost, but it looks like it's also yeah. So I want to talk about one of the things I think is like the most interesting as far as like what's up to interpretation is it. So there is this orderly that's working at the hospital that we end up figuring out that the husband didn't kill Danny, but he did arrange for her to be killed by this orderly who is a demented fucking asshole who works at the insane asylum as an orderly and is just pretty much like tormenting all the patients constantly,
Right.
including we didn't specifically say his name, but we get more information on Olin Bull, who is the stranger who we find out learned about the plan to kill the wife and was genuinely there to help her.
He heard them talking in the walls, is what he said, which is a brilliant line when you get the reveal.
Right? Yeah, it's really cleverly written, because he's literally hearing them through like the vents as they're talking about their plan, to where it's just some fucking haunting dialogue between is it Ted? Is that so Ted's the ex-husband, and then the orderly, who is it Ivan? Yeah, Ivan. There is this chilling fucking line to where Ted is breaking down the limits to which Ivan can go to when he's doing this murder, because he has this line where he says, "I don't want her hurt," but he's arranging for her to be killed.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, just dead.
Just dead. Because they're talking about some pretty disturbing and dark shit that, Ivan is presenting to him as stuff that can go along with the
What if it was sexually motivated?
Yeah, what if it was motivated? And Ted is disgusted by this as he is arranging for his freaking wife to be killed.
Double standards.
So, yeah, the double standards he has. And when you find out that the whole reason he wants her to be killed is he was planning to leave Danny, but he knew she couldn't take it. She would never get over me.
Because she loves him.
Is like
what the fuck, man?
It is like a level of narcissism that is so gross. It makes your stomach fucking churn, dude. Oh my god, it's rough stuff. But this is also stuff that happens in real life. Like, there are people that are like this level of narcissist, that they draw these lines.
It's euthanasia, right?
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
They think they're doing them a favor by killing them instead. Like, they're euthanizing them.
Yeah, and I thought this angle, as far as like making,
I was just gonna say, which tells me he thinks of her more of as like a pet than anything.
Yeah, it's really messed up. I actually think that like the weirdly dark and twisted way that he is setting up all of these boundaries with Ivan is a really interesting villain, because you don't really see that very often in these types of movies. Like, it's interesting in how he's evil in a way that you don't see very often.
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
It's like he's rationalized it all out some way because he's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, he's something else, man. It's like, and it works so well too, because they need these villains to reach these levels of being unlikable for you to be as on board with going after them with the supernatural stuff, and that's like, all of the stuff is set up for the third act, where Darcy is able to let loose with the fucking wooden man, and you're like it's like if you were watching Hereditary and you're like cheering on the ghost at the end,
Right.
It's very interesting. That just doesn't happen. And I thought it was really cool. Completely space out of the train of thought where I was thinking.
I was like,
so we find out that Olin Bull, the stranger, was there to genuinely help her. And it's so heartbreaking because Darcy had killed him, because what you don't see happen is that Darcy had unleashed the wooden man in like a bit of rage, because she thought
this is the outer god we heard before.
Yeah, it was Darcy controlling this. We haven't really described it, but it's this like wooden mannequin, and it has these like circular slots on the head where you have to like insert, I think it's like a vial of blood. There's like a photograph of Darcy and her sister. There's all these these little objects you have to put into it to be, I guess, for her to like be able to take control of it, to have like that level of connection to it. They never elaborate on it, which is cool.
Right.
It's just, she can do this shit.
We know it was given to their mom by a witch.
Yeah.
On their like 5th wedding anniversary or something.
So she used this to kill Olin because she was fucking pissed that her sister had been killed, and at that point didn't really have reason to doubt the husband, and in a bit of rage killed Olin horrifically.
I'll pay
and
for
the guy
that
was
forever.
just there. the guy was just there to save her. And you get like, because like there's one interpretation where you'd be like, well, why didn't you go to the cops? The cops are gonna fucking believe the former psychiatric patient that has a history of violence.
Yeah,
who beat his mom. But and you find out that he beat his mom to death because she took out his eye. He was basically like in a way self-defense, because at one point she's like, if the mom went for that one, eventually she's gonna come for the other one. And yeah, like, so he has this tragic backstory and was genuinely there to help her, but she did the right thing by not letting him in. Like, you can't let the stranger on your property in your house that situation. Like, the sister didn't do anything wrong. She just, man, like, but yeah, once you find out like the full details of Olin, it's such a fucking tragic character. And this is kind of like segueing into one of the parts that I thought was like intentionally ambiguous, that I saw some people kind of like going back and forth on Reddit about. So Darcy figures out that she killed Olin, who was an innocent man, and then she says that line that you just referenced, where it's like, what was the kind of like, I'll pay for that?
It was something like, I'll pay for that forever.
Yeah. So what is your interpretation as far as her knowing the trap door is there, as far as she knows? Because so what happens as far as what I'm referring to, the husband has gone back after the new girlfriend has left. He is at the house and sets up this open trap door that, because Darcy is blind, she will walk into it and, severely injure herself or die, because she's going to answer a phone that he says is going to ring at a certain time once he goes to talk to the cops. So do you think she knew this was going to happen, that she knew she kind of needed to pay for killing Olin, and she intentionally walked through the trapdoor? Because that's kind of like a point of contention I found on this movie.
No, when I watched it, it took so long for her to decide that this phone is never going to go to voicemail, to get up and go answer it, that I thought she did know. And then when she got up, sort of walking, I was like, oh, okay, she's not. She doesn't know.
Because she takes such a long time that, to me, it was her kind of like willing up the courage to walk forward into it. Because I feel like she had to know that this was a trap to some extent.
I felt like she knew it was a trap. I don't feel like she knew about the door, like a literal trap door.
Yeah, I think she knows about it to an extent and is basically like accepting it, because at this point, I think that she is just kind of... It's interesting because she knows at this point she has her ace in the hole with the bell.
Right.
And she knows, because of what all has happened and what all was found out, that he is going to take care of the orderly, because it's a loose end. So I almost feel like she intentionally knows that this is some type of trap, and knows that he's arranged something that will potentially kill her. And because she feels so guilty over the Olin thing, she voluntarily walks into it. And why it takes her so long is her kind of like getting the courage to do so. And that ended up kind of being like my read on it. I wasn't sure if you kind of felt that because to me, that's why that line is there, as far as like, I'll pay for that forever. It's like she felt like she needed to pay for what she did to Olin, and she kind of like voluntarily signed up for whatever trap that he had laid for her. And not literally like knowing about the trap door, but knowing this was like something bad was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't the read that I got.
And I think that's really cool that level of like detail is in this, as far as a lot of people like are adamant that she voluntarily walk forward into whatever trap had been laid for her, and then some people like don't pick up on it at all. I think that's just kind of like pretty deft as far as the scenario.
Yeah,
I found that interesting, because there's a lot of back and forth, and the writer has talked publicly about like the ending and some of like the stuff with the husband, as far as there was also apparently more stuff that the writer cut, where they went into more detail with the orderly. He confirmed in an interview that like there was cut stuff saying that the orderly was a former patient, which I think they like kind of allude to, but they don't specifically go into as much detail as he originally had, which I thought was kind of like a smart choice, because I think leaving a lot of the background with the orderly is
If that's the
It's part.
case, I'm surprised they didn't do another short film because there's a short film about Olin and his background.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that. Talk a little bit more about that. I had no idea.
Yeah, I saw it on Wikipedia. Oh god, I cannot type. Oddity film. There was a where was it? Down here in the production, I think. It's just randomly thrown in here. Yeah, under the production section, the last paragraph, McCarthy, who frequently browses antique stores, acquired many of the props for the film himself. The character Olin Bull was the subject of McCarthy's 2013 short film, How Olin Lost His Eye, which explores the character's backstory.
Interesting.
So it's called How Olin Lost His Eye. Let me check this citation here, number 8. From Mashable. What is Oddity about? Expanding horror. Oddity is a Savage original. I like that subheading. It claims it is in this article. Not seeing. Let me see. Control F. Oh, here it is. Short film. Oh, it's on YouTube.
The short film.
Yeah, How Olin Lost His
Nice.
Eye, uploaded by Damian McCarthy.
I saw that. It was kind of cool. Is the guy who plays
It's 5 minutes.
the I think it might be one of those instances to where this is going to end up being like a writer director that kind of calls back to a lot of former stuff, like not only with the how you said like one of the
rabbit
haunted objects was a callback to Caveat, but also I think I saw that Johnny French, the guy, a great name by the way, Johnny French is a wonderful name. He plays in this movie Declan, which I believe is the character that finds Olin's corpse after he's killed by the wooden man.
Is that the guy from
he
Caveat?
was one of the main characters in Caveat, I believe.
Gotcha.
So he's kind of reusing some of his actors. Yeah, he's in Caveat. So one of the like best shots in the movie, though, we got to talk about like the ending scene. And a little bit of background before we do is early on in the movie when we talked about how the husband goes to see Darcy in the shop of oddities, is they have this conversation about a bell that is this like antique looking. It's like almost like the bell you seen like a really really old hotel, and she has this whole kind of like scary story surrounding it, to where the last couple people that have rang this bell have died because of the object being haunted by the ghost of what was the he gets like pushed down like a flight of stairs and killed or something. But what was like the full story behind why the
I don't remember. I don't remember if he fell down an elevator or if he fell down stairs or something.
I think she says he was pushed down a flight of stairs by like a killer or something. I forget, but yeah. But there's this like spooky story with this fucking bell. And after the events unfold in the third act, to where Darcy is about to kill Ivan, the orderly, but succumbs to her wounds because she's fallen through this trap door.
That's what I was going to ask, if that's your take. Like, she didn't spare him for any reason.
Oh, I absolutely, yeah. She would not spare him. I think
she could do it.
She just died as she was trying to do it, I think. Was that your take on it too?
Yeah, that was my take.
Yeah. But Ivan gets his. Bad. That fucking scene is so silly when it's like it's creepy, but it's also super silly the way that they end it, where
when Hannibal Lecter shows up,
the cannibal guy shows up, and that's what the reveal is of the guy with the muzzle thing on his head. Is that the fucking ex-husband is meats back on the menu, boysing the fucking loose end, dude. That fucking seed. Yeah, he's sick. One of the fucking patients who's a cannibal on Ivan to clean up the loose end, and the scene fucking ends with him biting his toes. And it's just like,
man.
good God. Oh man. That to me was one of the scenes too that I was saying kind of like is blending the lines towards being silly, because that's a fucking silly way to, it's like, it's you like, okay, your imagination knows what is gonna happen is fucking terrifying, but choosing to end it on him biting his toes is pretty fucking silly to me.
Yeah.
So after she fell through the trap door, she's in the process of killing Ivan, but it dies to her wounds. Ivan has a like really, really fucked up leg because he has a compound fracture, and that's what leads to him, you know, being the meat back on the menu, boys, is because his leg's fucked up. He's gone to back to the psychiatric ward because the asshole ex-husband arranged the whole thing. Like, instead of going to jail, he's, you know, gonna fucking end up back at the psych ward or whatever.
Right.
But the cool shot in the movie is you think for a second that the ex-husband is going to get away with it because it shows him a little bit of time has passed. I think they cut to the scene with him getting a phone call from the new girlfriend,
which
basically
is great.
saying like, yeah,
like, good for you, girl.
Yeah, she is lighting him up over the phone, saying like, the most creepy thing is how 2 fucking people have died in your home and you seem so nonchalant about it, or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely right, because that's one of the things that shows how much of a fucking sociopath he is because he is not disturbed by anything, because he views himself as a fucking god. He thinks he is like, he thinks he's invincible, and he views everyone around him as like pets to play with, pretty much, like you said earlier.
Back to that narcissism we talked about.
Exactly. And he had been talking with Darcy about this bell, and obviously they have this back and forth where he's the skeptic, you know, he's the man of science, he's the doctor, and, you know, she is more spiritual. He is, after this phone call happens with Yana, he's back at the house, and he gets a package in the mail, and it is this bell. And I love this scene, because this scene is just him like staring at this bell like, surely this is bullshit, right? And they go on for a long time of him just like staring at this fucking bell. And eventually he rings it, and he hears something upstairs, because part of like the scary story was that once you ring the bell, like, you start hearing like the bellboy like running after you or whatever.
Yeah, the way they described it is he charges at you.
Yeah.
And like, he scoffs at the story or whatever, and she mentions that 2 people before have rang the bell, and they're dead. They saw him and they're dead now.
Yep.
But I love the way it is shot, because
it's so good.
He rings it like in defiance, like, fuck you, Darcy, right? Which she knew he would do because his ego, right?
Yep.
And
because he's a skeptic.
And he's a skeptic. Yeah. And he starts looking around the house in all these places where someone could just come charging out of. Like, down hallways, down bathrooms. You're
specifically the staircase. This staircase has a like 90-degree angle in the middle of it, which is like pretty much like specifically set up because of this final shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you keep expecting something to come running after him like a fucking football player.
Yeah.
And it keeps cutting back to him in these wide shots and stuff, and he's just kind of like laughing to himself, like, this is ridiculous. Like, he won, basically.
He has like the biggest shit-eating grin you've ever seen in your life.
And right after that, it hard cuts out to a wide shot of him sitting there, and slightly off to the side and behind him, the bellboy's just standing there.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's such a like apparently from some of the threads I was reading about this movie on Reddit, this movie was playing I don't think this movie got like a wide release in America, but it would play at, you know, like those like kind of little circuits that pop up from time to time with like the film festivals. And at the kind of like midnight film festivals of all the horror junkies, this final shot got like thunderous applause of people freaking out at the ending because it's such a great shot.
Nice.
And that would be a great atmosphere to watch this in, is like a midnight. This is such a good midnight movie to watch at a festival that I think that atmosphere and that environment for this is part of what got this movie the buzz that it did. Is because that seeing that shot with the crowd at a festival and the whole crowd going apeshit because of how awesome that final scene is would just like cement the entire memory of the movie in that one moment, you know?
Right.
That's like the fucking horror movie like Cap with Mjolnir moment because it's such a good final shot. Yeah, and I really liked some of the comments to where the writer director guy was talking about how like the most common question he got from people that would talk to him about the movie, and he was happy that he would kept getting this question because he knew he like sold how unlikable this character should be, the ex-husband. Is the number one question he always got was, hey, so the bellboy killed him, right?
Nice.
People like needed to know that this fucker got what was coming to him because he's such a piece of shit, like beyond all proportions. He's such an unlikable fucking asshole. And for him to get taken out like this because he's a skeptic and because he thinks he's like a like above everyone else and he's invincible, like he said, like he gets taken out by the fucking bellboy. And then that would be the third person killed at this Bloodborne dungeon. Please tell me no one buys this fucking house again after 3 people have been killed in this house.
That's the sequel, Jeff.
That's the sequel.
That's the sequel.
That's the sequel. So that's another interesting thing about this writer and director that I read too. Some people have been talking to him about a potential sequel, and obviously it could happen because this movie is like the most successful thing he's done, and he could go back to it. But one thing that he talked about was with caveat, and with this is he likes self-contained one and dones.
Right.
He likes kind of like putting all the pieces on the board and, you know, completing the story instead of dragging it along. So it'll be interesting to see because this is, I think, gonna have some kind of long-term success as like a cult classic, almost like one of those instant kind of cult classics because of the way it was released and everything. It'll be interesting to see if this franchise, you know, is a thing with Oddity because of how much people in the horror scene like it. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if like A24 is already talking to this guy to have like a movie come to America and be shot here, like actually in Hollywood.
Right.
Because this while I, you know, don't love this movie, I think it's good. And I do like it. I think it is a great kind of like beta test for him as a writer and director at like A24, where I would be super interested to see like Blumhouse, like if
where
Jason Blum went after
money
this guy.
him.
Where he had some money behind it and just kind of like see what his first like full-blown project would be. I'd be very, very interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of it though. The reason I went more into detail as far as describing this more than we usually do is because I think that's kind of almost necessary with how fresh this is, with how, if you're not going to watch it, you kind of like need the background behind it, because it's also just like you said earlier, it's such a simple plot, but that isn't like a negative for it. It's very lean. What is the movie like not even like 90 minutes? It's like an hour and 28 or something like that. Hour and 38. So it's a little over.
Yeah,
90.
hour 38.
It's very lean. There's almost like no fat to it. It takes a while for it to become like a full blown supernatural kind of horror movie, but the parts of it that are like a thriller, I think, are great. That shot too of and just scene in general when Danny goes to review the camera to see if she saw someone enter the house.
Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite moments.
It's so good, and it's so creepy, and like the tension is just like fucking crazy when she sees that Olin was right and someone had entered the house, because she's had this isn't she like trying to capture like pictures of ghosts but is just getting orbs or something like that?
Yeah.
So she set up this camera to try to get pictures of like ghost activity, and it ends up not being something that's going to capture like the ghost thing specifically at that point, but it's capturing the intruder, and then she knows that she's locked herself in with this person who's in the house, and because they haven't like fully like fixed up the house yet, she's in a fucking tent. So like that moment when she has to unzip the tent, dude,
Yeah.
it's fucking intense. Like, great stuff from McCarthy.
And when he walks around to the front of the tent, revealing he has the hammer she had.
Oh man, it's fucked up.
That's a bad way to go.
Also,
I feel like
this
that
movie
might have hurt Jeff.
I think you might be right. But also, I think another strength of this movie is like showing the restraint, as far as they show him holding the hammer, and then it does a hard cut to where he's already killed her.
Right.
Like they aren't doing
Like he
that
charges
kind of,
at her and it hard cuts away.
yeah, and there's just like the blood spatter everywhere, and that I think is it shows like that McCarthy has like a deft touch to this as well, as far as like showing restraint, because a lot of like especially a lot of horror movies that have come out over the last like 20 years or so, especially ones near like around like Saw and stuff, they would show you all of the like brutality in it, but it's not necessary. Like you don't need to see that to sell the scene.
Right.
Like the scene is so like tragic and disturbing in its own right. You don't need to specifically see it happen. Same with Olin's death. Like that is so much more effective as something that happens off screen, and then you seeing the aftermath, as opposed to like doing the hostile or like Saw version of like seeing the gore. Like I think he has a good understanding of this movie is like elevated above needing that level of gore. Like it's not necessary. Like the brutality is sold without showing the kind of like more like I don't know what you'd say, like kind of like lower tier horror aspects of it. Like I'm glad we've kind of moved beyond that.
What you imagine will always be worse than what they can show you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I will be going back to check out Caveat, and I will be very, very interested, like I said, to see what this guy does in the future. But I think that might be everything I had to say about the movie. Was there anything else that we didn't really touch on that you wanted to talk about?
No, we pretty much hit all my points.
Yeah, it's like this might end up being like our shortest episode ever, but that's just because that's also like a mark of quality for the film being as lean as it is. There's very little fat to it. There's very little wasted time. Pretty much everything that's included is really important for either the development of the tension or developing these characters, whether you're wanting them to be unlikable or likable. It's such a well edited movie too, and I love that. As soon as I saw that this movie was 98 minutes or whatever,
oh, man.
I was like, yes, I get excited when I see a movie that is willing to be that short, because there isn't a lot of dicking around as far as setting up the script and what they're cutting, and I love that ability to make the movie lean. I love it so much.
Yeah, we need more short movies, please.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. I'm almost like flabbergasted just to have a short episode. Like, what are we gonna talk about for the next like hour? We gotta fill up the 2 hour runtime, man.
Oh no, please don't.
Ron's like, I gotta go to fucking bed. I gotta get out of here, dude.
Oh god, yeah, I feel terrible. No, I changed the movie that I had alluded to last time. From one that neither of us have seen to one that both of us have seen. But okay. I think it's an interesting one to talk about.
Okay. I'll be the judge of that.
If I recall, you were kind of lukewarm on it. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I really like this movie though. But next time I want to talk about Crimson Peak.
Crimson Peak. Is that the Tom Hiddleston one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Del Toro writing and directing, Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. I have seen it, but it's been a few years, so I remember very little of it.
Yeah, the cast alone, man. Mia Wasikowska.
I think it's Wasikowska.
Yeah, sure. Jessica Chastain, Tom Hiddleston, Charlie Hunnam, Vern Gorman. Yeah, the cast goes on.
Yeah, great casts. And you said that was Del Toro?
Yep. Written and
directed.
Is
this our first Del Toro thing that we're gonna have on the show?
Pacific Rim, I believe, was our first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was about to say, if we went 107 episodes without having Del Toro, I was gonna like fire both of us off this fucking show. Oh man. I'm all about entering spooky season though.
Yeah.
I can't wait. We're like 2 weeks out from October in my happy place.
Oh man. Crimson Peak is available on Amazon Prime Video, and it looks like it's rentable at Apple TV, Amazon, and Microsoft.
I always forget they have shit on that as far as digital like rentals and stuff.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, who goes out of their way to rent stuff on fucking Microsoft?
Yeah, I have no idea.
How often do you ever pull up? Like, the only time I ever pull up the Microsoft store is when it happens to be one of those like things that they force you to go through the Microsoft store for. There's like I forget what they are, but it's a couple of apps that like they're only on there and shit.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't want to fucking pull the Microsoft store. What the fuck you think this is?
Yeah. No, they tried to be Apple real hard. They leaned into the App Store, and then if you recall in the mall over in Tulsa, they had a Microsoft store that was like twice the size of the Apple store, and now it's like a shoe store or something.
Yeah, I remember that being a thing. I never went in there. I would just like see it as like, why?
Yeah. I
So dumb.
don't get it. But yeah, that did not go well.
It did not. It did not. Yeah, so that's gonna be a wrap for Oddity. Be sure to go check out Crimson Peak on all the platforms that Ron had mentioned to follow along in a couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be picking more spooky stuff because after that it's officially in October, and you know I'm fucking picking horror stuff in October.
Damn right.
Who do you think I am, man? If you would like to follow the show more, we are on Twitter at SPR Filmcast, where you can follow us for show updates. If you caught us on YouTube, obviously liking and subscribing to the channel is a huge help and helps the channel grow. If you, as we mentioned earlier, if you have any questions or prompts you would like discussed by us at the beginning of the next show, be sure to email us screenplayrewind@gmail.com or drop a comment in the YouTube comment section, and we'll read it out. As you've seen, we will read literally anything, for better or for worse.
We always read what's on the teleprompter.
We do. Any ratings or reviews on whichever platform you manage to find us on is always appreciated. And I think the last thing is, share it out to your friends. If you got people, I feel like there's always people jonesing for spooky shit to happen. Like, maybe it's just me, but as soon as it gets like even like 10 degrees cooler outside, and I'm in September, and it's like Salvation's on the horizon, like the summer's almost over and it's almost time for October horror movie month, I get so fucking excited, dude.
I'm looking forward to my my rewatch of The Thing and Alien.
Hell yeah. Ron, when you're not discussing horror movies, where can you be found on the interwebs?
You can find me in all the places at RonSense TV, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. I haven't posted anything in a minute. My sleep schedule is fucked up in addition to kids being sick plus me being sick.
That
so
sucks.
It's been like 3 weeks. It's almost, I basically haven't posted anything since school started. So
get back to it.
Yeah, I plan to get back to it. I plan to get back on it. My sleep schedule went from having all the time to do anything I want whenever I want to, in bed by like 10 o'clock and up at like 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Everyone's very tired and nobody trusts each other anymore.
Nobody trusts each other anymore, yeah.
Oh, man. I have an excuse in a few weeks to watch The Thing for October.
Why do you need one?
I don't need one, but it's always more fun to wait for October, man.
It's true.
I'm so excited. Fuck every holiday that's not Halloween. That's just me. Yeah, I think this could be a wrap for this week's episode. If you get a bell in the mail, I know you're gonna want to ring it, but don't do it, man.
I like that he rang it. I just knew that he was gonna put it on the table and walk away, and you would hear it ring itself.
Oh, is that how you thought it was gonna go?
Yeah, like through the box,
and
then like the wall is just gonna explode as this like fucking bellhop comes flying out of the wall and charges him.
How funny would it have been if it had been like the woodman's like hand? And it's like this. Yeah, it goes over and rings it like the fucking hand in Addams Family. How good would that be?
Oh man.
Oh fuck. Man. Have a good night, everybody. Don't ring that fucking bell.
Don't ring that fucking bell.